Welcome back. Now, amid ongoing pricing and supply crisis in the downstream sector of the Nigerian oil industry, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has tasked the federal government to prioritize building and accelerating a social safety net that protects vulnerable citizens. Resident representatives of the IMF in Nigeria, Dr. Christian Ebeke, made this known in Abuja. Ebeke also hinted that petrol is still selling below market price, indicating the possibility of a further upward price movement. Recall that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has also taken a similar position. The IMF executive expressed worry that Nigerians are going through significant hardship due to policies being implemented by the present federal government. Now to discuss this, we're joined by economic analyst Olusegun Okunade. You're welcome, Shesan. Good to have you here.
Yeah, good evening, Masino, and good evening to all our viewers across the globe. Glad to be here this evening.
Thank you very much. So, first question, how can the federal government design and administer targeted subsidies to ensure they reach the most vulnerable populations without creating inefficiencies?
Thank you very much. I read some of the reactions of the representative of IMF in Nigeria, and the bottom line I can just feel as regard that is our government needs transparency in some of the things that it's doing. Of a fact, if you ask me, we keep hearing that we are not paying the actual money. When this administration came in, we were told that subsidy is gone, and we moved the price of fuel from 187 initially to 470 before we moved to 568, and that we could not even sustain for as long as we could. Not too long, we started seeing the fluctuation and non-availability of that particular product within the range. I think the first call is for us to have understanding whether it's produced locally or is being imported, what is the actual cost of this product. The last I heard of was the Minister of State for oil came out to say the landing cost of that particular product is about 1,112. And when we saw the increase with the production from Dangote, we saw it move from 500 to about 855. And we ask, why are we still, who is augmenting the remaining cost from the landing cost that will say? I think the first thing we need to do to make the system to work is to be transparent, to have understanding of what the cost of this product is, whether locally or the one we are bringing internationally, and let's for once do that. Secondly, can we start thinking of how we can produce this thing locally? We have said even if people are paying more for this particular product as we speak, but we are refining it locally because of other byproduct that was input to other things. You can create employment, you can create and develop other arm of the economy, agriculture with the fertilizer that you get from the produce that you have from the crude oil, bitumen to make sure that your roads are there. All of these are not being accounted for from a product that we are getting. We still buy some of those things. By the time you accumulate some of those costs, it's actually impacting on an average citizen. Now, that IMF is actually talking about, you ask yourself, how much of it, up to we're still yet to hear anything about the Ministry of Humanitarian. Most funds that were actually misappropriated, that has gone below the, you see, until we have consequential management to punish individuals that circumvent the system, we go nowhere. If government plan all this social stuff for the vulnerables today, a lot of diversions will happen, and most of the people that this are not being dealt with, and that's why we feel that having a system that is transparent and work through for everyone to see how it works will make life more bearable for an average and the most vulnerable that we can talk of.
I want to pick on something you said just moments ago. You said that it all doesn't add up. You said that the informed public also notes that it doesn't add up. If that happens, or if that seems to be the case, then we might be looking at an upward review of prices still. Now, if that happens, what type of social safety net programs could be available, whether in terms of cash transfers or vouchers? What kind of programs could be available to be employed to mitigate the impact of the rising price in petrol?
Dashan, if you ask me, sorry, Mazino, if you ask me, the truth of it is, whichever social contract we want to plan, whether cash transfer or the likes, cannot salvage the problem if we don't look for way to actually augment, transportation and logistics. It plays a major role in an economy of ours, where people move from one place to the other to make sure that activities are carried on. So, and not only in terms of movement, we look at other areas where some of these products are being made use of. In terms of energy, our power generation, what are we actually having? You discover that majority of the consumption that we have in terms of petroleum also go to power, not just only to fuel the vehicle. Can we start working intentionally to see that other arms of government in making sure that we have availability of power supply to reduce what is actually being consumed on alternative power supply will also assist us. You see, this idea of saying cash transfer will not work as far as I'm concerned. We should start thinking of how we can build infrastructure for individuals to rise, infrastructure for businesses to succeed, and to actually grow. As we speak, it's becoming highly impossible for businesses to succeed. Not too long we hear that the telcos are already planning hike in the tariff. What is the major yardstick behind it? Because the cost of actually running a base station keeps increasing because of the increase in energy costs. So government needs to look for a way to augment this. We have heard of the plan of energy buses. How much of it have we seen made available even to us? We have even said, if you intend to make average individual to carry on this, how many of it has the government themselves, shown by example in converting and coming to say, even when we carry out our own financials, when we started using CNG, it is enough of savings that we have actually had. We've not seen that come on the part of the government. Now, it's not about just giving out money, but making sure that we have infrastructure that can make business to grow, and have the fiscal policy that can enhance business growth.
Okay, let's talk about these rising prices. If these prices continue to rise, it's going to affect the poor and the rich very disproportionately. The rich might not suffer it as much as those who are low-income earners. What can the federal government do to manage these inflationary pressures, especially for the poor?
Yeah, I think part of the things they are trying to do with the fiscal policy by the special tax was set up is to see how they can get more taxes from the HNI, the high network individuals that we have in the country, and see how they can use that to augment. But I still have so much challenges about that because the level at which we account for some of this money is really not a seat that anybody can have confidence in. People still shortchange the government, most especially those high network, in what they remit to the government. A system that tracks the activities of what the high network is doing, and you're able to get more taxes to salvage the situation for the vulnerable and the less those are the lower cadre. I think we'll be able to make things more meaningful. It's taken from the high network that are actually available to sustain those that are the lower cadre of the ladder.
Well, Olusegun, thank you very much for giving us your in-depth view on the matter. We appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having me this evening.